Alright, welcome to my first review, and I think a good way to start off these reviews is with the new Star Wars live-action TV show, The Mandalorian. Our first live-action Star Wars content in like over a year and a half, and it's something I've been really excited about, even though I feel like Disney Star Wars has been really on the decline as of the past few films. I really haven't enjoyed any of the movies that much since Force Awakens, so I was kind of skeptical about this, although excited. So yeah, here we go. But yeah, right off the bat, I really dug this episode. This is definitely the best live-action Star Wars material we've had since The Force Awakens, at least in my humble opinion. I know a lot of people like Rogue One. That was never been my cup of tea, per se. But for me, this is the best live-action Star Wars thing we've had in almost 4 years. So that's a really good accomplishment. And for someone who had been kind of sour on Star Wars lately, hadn't been really super excited about the direction the franchise was going in, this definitely really reinvigorated things for me a little bit because I really dug this episode. So we start off with the Mandalorian, played by Pedro Pascal, and he goes into this cantina and immediately starts fighting off these guys. It's a really cool, kind of gritty scene. It really sets the tone of who this character is. And then after the fight, he goes up to this guy who these thugs or whatever were holding hostage, and you think, oh, he saved this guy, but actually he was the bounty. And it was a really interesting scene, although that character got real annoying real fast, but just his interactions with the characters, even though he obviously doesn't say much, was very interesting to see. And I like this character's presence more than anything. And he's really got like a kind of intimidating, like dominating presence over all the scenes. So yeah, I really dig this character from the get-go. And then we get to dive a little bit deeper into this character as, he wants to get off the planet, and we see he's not a big fan of droids, so he obviously takes the more dangerous route back to his ship. And that leads to some interesting fight with the creature that takes out the ship he was flying and almost takes them out. It's kind of a cool scene, but it still leads to this, the guy who was the bounty, I'm not sure his name, but he was very annoying. And as you continue through that flight, he just got on my nerves, and I've seen some other reviews, people thinking, like, really hoping he wasn't like one of the main characters or one of the sidekicks, and thankfully no, he was just one of the one of his bounties, and he freezes it in carbonite after a little bit. And that was really cool to see that freezing people in carbonite's been something that's come about in this galaxy that bounty hunters use, and it's not just like a one-time thing. That was really cool to see. And also, I love the Mandalorian ship. It's very prequel era, which we don't get enough of these days. I feel like this did have a decent amount of like nods to the prequel era, and I quite like that. So yeah, I really was digging it up at this point, and I continue to dig it as we get back to I guess this base planet where he meets Carl Weathers' character, and he learns about another job that has like zero information on it, so he has to then go over to Werner Herzog's character, who then sends him on a mission that's super secretive. And that whole scene, you gotta love Werner Herzog. He was really good in this scene, and I was like, okay, I was super into whatever this mission would be. So yeah, like this whole thing gets intense. You're like wondering what's going on. It really piques your interest, and I'm like super enthralled at this point, and it didn't really slow down. This episode moved at such a fast pace, and I really dug that. I mean, it's only 37 minutes long, which is kind of odd. You're thinking it's an hour or so, but it was almost the perfect length. I could have used a bit more on like the different planets, a bit more of world building. So yeah, but that was interesting. So what happens next is Werner Herzog gives him this piece of Mandalorian metal. What's it called? I should have read. But yeah, so he hands it to him as sort of payment, and then the Mandalorian takes it to a blacksmith or armorer who melts it down, turns into a shoulder plate for him, and that was super interesting to see. And that scene, we also get a flashback to his past. We see, he was taken, and that's like during the Clone Wars, and we see some really interesting stuff happening in that flashback, and I was like super into what was going on there. So yeah, I really like how it was edited. Some pretty cool quick editing, and but yeah, that scene was really interesting, building who this character is. He was a freeling. That's what he refers to him as someone who was taken in by the Mandalorian culture and brought up in this way. So yeah, I really dug that scene. And so yeah, he gets that done for him, and we move on to the planet where he tracks down where the bounty is. So I do kind of wish they had, planet names. I mean, I know I could just go look it up, but it'd be nice if they, I mean, that's the one thing I kind of liked about Rogue One is all the different planets and they bring up the name. I mean, that's kind of small praise for Rogue One. I really don't care for that movie, but, yeah, so he goes to this planet, he meets Nick Nolte's character, who was awesome, I have spoken. It was so great. And I even liked the whole interaction with him and the creature that he had to ride. Even I've heard some people say that's kind of cartoony, or it did seem a little comic and like a little too jokey. But I did actually kind of enjoy that scene. It was kind of fun to watch. It was cool to see this big tough Mandalorian guy just have to deal with that. And I really it cracked me up, and I very much enjoyed that scene. So they ride off, and Nick Nolte's character basically is helping him mainly because he thinks the Mandalorian bring peace to the area. So we get to this encampment where the bounty is, and we see the Mandalorian's waiting there after Nick Nolte's character leaves, and he sees a droid called IG-11 walking up, who's also destined for that bounty. And this scene is awesome. The Mandalorian comes in, and after the IG-11's wreck shop for a couple of them, they both kind of team up, even though he doesn't like droids, and then they just wreck shop together for a while. And there's even like a Gatling gun that's brought out, and the Mandalorian finds a way to hop on that after some gunfire, and he's just taking out all these guys in a circle. It's a really cool action scene, especially for, I didn't expect something like this big and interesting to happen in the very first episode. That seemed like more of a mid-season type thing, but no, this is right in the first episode, this awesome action sequence. I'm so into it. And yeah, so they take all the guys out, and they do this really cool scene where they blow open the door where the bounty is behind them, and they go in there, kill the one guy left there, and they find this pod. And earlier you learned that who they were looking for was about 50 years old, which is interesting because you find out it's like a little baby of Yoda's species, and that was so interesting. And it's kind of crazy because you think IG-11, who I still think is going to play a big part. Heck, the next thing is the next first scene of episode 2 could be the Mandalorian on a ship fixing IG-88. Like, IG wakes up, it's like, I just don't want you to kill a thing, but we make a good team. Something like that could happen for sure. So yeah, he blasts IG-11, and he sees the young creature, and that's where we end. And yeah, it was only a 37-minute episode, but I feel like we got a decent amount of the story, we got a decent amount of the world. I know the setting I'm in, I like the characters, and I'm very excited to see what's next. It's good to be excited about Star Wars again. I haven't been truly excited about Star Wars in a long time. I am excited for episode 9, because it kind of looks just like a sequel to episode 7, which I really like. But yeah, I'm excited for where this is going, and this game makes me think that I think the future of Star Wars could definitely be on television, on Disney+. Because I feel like this is a good way to expand the universe without it getting too monotonous, like too much marketing, too much Star Wars. You can do a lot and make it not feel like you're oversaturating the market of Star Wars. At least on TV, I feel. Alright, so yeah, that was my review of The Mandalorian Chapter 1. I really enjoyed it. Hope you go out there, check it out, check out what else is on Disney+. I'm really excited for episode 2 on Friday. Hope you are too. Yeah, be sure to comment, rate, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this first review of mine, and hope for many more to come.